Hello, my name is Bridget Hale, and I will be answering a few questions in regards to Task 5.7. The first question asked was, what does CRISP-DM methodology for data mining entail, and what does the data analyst do in each step? So it's a 6-step process. CRISP-DM stands for Cross-Industry Standard Process for Data Mining. The first step of the 6 crucial steps would be business understanding. That is where the business objectives are determined, as well as identifying goals for the task, as well as establishing a project plan. Our second step would be data understanding. Collecting from sources, whether that's external or internal, so that we can conduct basic descriptive statistics, such as mean, median, and mode. The third step would be data preparation, readying our data for analysis, conducting extensive cleaning, and selecting viable data. New variables are constructed in this process. Our fourth step is modeling. This is where we determine which algorithms and modeling techniques we'll be applying to our data set. The model will then be tested as a prototype before being validated for further use. The fifth step is evaluation. In this process, portion of the process, we confirm that our model that we conducted in step 4 indeed meets all of the criteria and goals identified in step 1, which was business understanding of the CRISP-DM process. And finally, we roll into deployment. That's when the plan is established for assessing results in order to write the final report. The next question was to explain what needs to be done before we can forecast time series. In other words, what does time series analysis involve? Time series analysis, like a regression model, is a collection of data points arranged in chronological order, whose main goal is to assess the value range of time, like predicting future quantitative values based on historic values. Regular intervals are taken over time, and it's very important to look for market trends here and seasonality correlation. Our third question is to discuss the main principles of data ethics, as well as what companies or organizations could do to uphold these principles. The data ethics principles include four portions. The first is privacy, transparency, accountability, and finally equality. As far as privacy goes, pretty straightforward. It involves complying with applicable data privacy laws. Then as we get into transparency, it's very vital that we are forthcoming in explaining how the personal data that we are to be trusted with will be handled. And that's where accountability comes in, and that is about taking responsibility as an analyst and not breaking the trust of our clients. Having that personal information is a privilege, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. Finally, we have equality. This is where impact of bias analysis can be distorted and can offer discriminating results if that's the case. So it's very important that we have integrity when analyzing data. Question 4 was, imagine you're an analyst at a financial service company and you have some concerns about bias in the way a predictive model was measured. How would you raise your concerns with your manager? And can you make some suggestions for how to avoid measurement bias in the future? So I would approach the management team regarding their concerns with bias, my concerns. And if they were unaware of the issue and the bias, it'd be wise of me to be prepared with some proof. could be forthcoming with the evidence, and then that way I could offer a contingent way of approaching the bias. Transparency and equality can aid with these issues here. So when conducting analysis, integrity is one of the most important pieces of our process, and it's essential to the integrity of the team, the project, and the data itself to be forthcoming in order to analyze data as precisely and fairly as possible. Lack of integrity leads to lack of precision, which then leads to inaccurate forecasting rules and models. The team would need to be informed immediately of any bias found in the collection method, the process, so that we halt production right there and don't move forward until we're confident that the data we're working with is free of bias. Question 5, explain the biggest difference between regression and classification models in predictive analysis when you would use one of these models over the other. While both are used in machine learning for predictive analysis, the biggest difference between regression and classification models is that regression helps predict a continuous quantity, while classification predicts discrete variables with class labels. So regression models are a little more complex. They would be more appropriate for conducting performance, predictability, market trends. Also would be better for conducting analysis on profits and even company productivity. Whereas classification models might be better used when we're dealing with binary predictions, such as yes, no questions, true, false, flagging spam emails, and of that sort. But thank you for coming to my presentation, and I look forward to working with you in the future.